Kristen, for such a grounding and expanding meditation. It just perfectly fits in to what I want to talk about. And it really is being in tune with the love that God is in our lives. In fact, the reason for the whole context of today's talk, which is titled Skepticism, Doubt, and Fear, which sounds like the three things you don't want when you're trying to, move into a more healed way of being. We welcome those three things. And the reason is because you need a healthy dose of questioning. A healthy dose of questioning all of the religious things or spiritual things we're learning. That is what keeps us grounded in our own truth. It wouldn't be enough. It would be terrible if we just took in what people told us and just blindly had this faith that couldn't be questioned. That sounds a little cultish if you ask me. It's good, it's healthy to sit with it and say, is that true? Does it really work that way? I wonder if we are all connected. But you can't deny it, because when you think you know everything that you need to know, when you think you know how it doesn't work, life surprises you. God surprises you. We show up for each other in ways that we couldn't have possibly guessed that could happen, and it's always for the better. And so you know that we do live and move and have our beingness in this quantum field that Kristen talked about so eloquently. And we do have this love field that just generates, it emanates from us, whether we know it or not. But when we do know it, when we become aligned with it, then we can enhance, we can amplify, just like that meditation. I don't know if you felt it, but I had chills going in and through me as I felt that energy wave of love just flow out. And then it was beautiful because Kristen had us going into the earth for grounding, which is very important, right? But also up and out of our crown chakra and into the universe, so to speak, or into the space above and around us. That is how we know that we are anchored in this life, this love of God. And so is everybody else. We are all living and moving and swimming around in this beingness that is God. And again, we know those words. And you can also just say those words. But we all love a personal, intimate experience of this thing called God. Because then no one can take that away. It's not a memorized homily. I don't know why that word just jumped in my brain, but maybe that's not the right word. It's not a memorized set of words that work together to hopefully cast some spell, and then at some point I can be all that I desire or all that I know I can be. Nope. This is a personal God. It's a personal experience. In fact, I'm reading now with my ministerial studies, I'm reading Thomas Troward, who is, he was one of the founders of New Thought, ancient wisdom, and spiritual thinking. And one of the things was, he said, yeah, none of this stuff is real unless you make it personal. He even goes so far as to say, and I'm going to paraphrase, that everything is conscious, from the minutest atom to a rock, to everything that you see in this physical world, and even the things that you don't see, they're entities, and they're all conscious. Now, the degree of consciousness depends upon the organization of the structure, and at some point, he goes back and posits that perhaps prehistoric beings, I guess I'll call them, were sort of in a trance. We'll call this the dream state, where kind of like the animals that we believe we believe what they're experiencing is just a oneness, a connection. They're just in the now. They're not planning for the future. They don't have an IRA, right? Individual retirement account. They're not wondering about what happened to that rabbit that they saw 2 weeks ago. And they're probably not anticipating, oh my God, what if we run out of rabbits in the future? They're in the moment. And that's this dream state. And he believes that all the prehistoric beings were like that. And at some point, consciousness became aware of itself. And then that awakened what we now use, our brains, our minds, our beingness. We use that to commune with the divine. We start wondering, what is our place in this world, in this universe? Where do we fit in? And we come up with stories. We begin to tell stories as we evolved, and we told stories to our people to maintain our belief system. And we actually interacted with the world in a more indigenous way, where we were one with nature. And then it was a give and take that Kristen talked about. It was that reciprocity, right? And as we gave, so shall we receive. And so we started living in harmony with the earth. And so as we moved through our evolution, and evolution becoming more and more, where spirit becomes more and more aware of itself as us, then we started to contemplate our place in the universe as divine beings, contemplating why we're here, what is our purpose. And so as we move through that, Ernest Holmes and Thomas Troward both talk about involution, I-N, where spirit becomes form, and then evolution, where form is now becoming more and more and more aware of itself as pure spirit. So it's that downward causation where spirit becomes us and becomes its creation, and then its creation becomes more and more aware of its spiritual nature. And so Thomas Troward and Ernest Holmes, who learned from Thomas Troward, both say none of this stuff, is required. You can walk around, we call it sleepwalking. Even today, you can move through life as if you have no conscious awareness of your oneness with spirit. We see it all the time, don't we? But then when we awaken to the fact that, there are principles that underpin, we call them morals. If you're not awake, they're morals, right? Be good. Don't do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Be kind. There are morals, but as we grow in spirituality, we realize those are based in principle. Love, kindness, peace, abundance, all of the goodness that we can imagine, all of the things that are the underpinnings of morality are actually principle. And so then we start to contemplate that, and we start to bring that into our lives, and we realize this is no mistake. There's no way that what we're experiencing now, what we call life, is an accident. It's not just, it just happened. Yeah, it just happened because the divine made it so. It happened because of creation. Creation is causality, and I don't want to say God, because sometimes when I say God in my brain, I still have that old idea of, either Morgan Freeman up in the sky or some white guy with a staff, So I try not to go there. I try to call it universe or spirit or divine, the divine, or Father, Mother, God. That'll work. But that creative activity of self-contemplation, or whatever it was, I don't know what caused the Big Bang. I don't know what caused the universe to create us, but it did, and we're one with it. We are just scattered beings, and from all of the corners of the earth, we're all one, participating in this one organism called life. And so that's kind of cool. And we start to contemplate that, and we realize, oh snap, I probably have some role in this oneness, and I'm pretty sure it's based on principle, and I'm pretty sure that everything that we are meant to be is in alignment with that principled goodness, oneness, wholeness, right? And it's a personal, we arrive at that personally, and if we don't arrive there, that's fine. Sure, we can go out to all corners of the earth and preach this so-called gospel, and people who recognize it will understand, yeah, there's some truth in that. And it could be dressed up as, Islam. It could be dressed up as Judaism. It could be dressed up as Christianity, or whatever we call this, which is, I think, all of them mixed together. But we know the truth when we see it. We rise to the occasion, and we listen. We start to listen, and we go within. And sometimes we go within because we're forced to. COVID, anyone? Right? We're forced to sit down, shut up, and listen. And then we find out so much more. There's such a world within that's so much bigger than what we see when we open our eyes. And to the degree that we realize, I bet that what's real is more within me. What's real is what I can't see. That's more true than what I do see. Because what I see when I open my eyes, that's the result of the culmination of thought up till this moment. Look around you. You see a fan? That fan is the result of you going to Costco and getting that fan. I don't know if you went to Costco. I went to Costco. And you look around somewhere else. That tree is the culmination of a seed that has been planted. Everything that we see now is the outpicturing of thought that has happened before it, which means that as I do my thinking now, I'm going to have an effect on the future me. So it behooves me to get real good about holding the right thoughts in my mind, in my body, in my being, hold on to thoughts that I want to experience, because lo and behold, those things are going to outpicture. That's the law that Ernest Holmes and Thomas Troward discussed. This is the law, and we don't have to just take someone else's word for it. We can use this law to affect our circumstances. Now, a lot of people say to control conditions. I don't know if I need to control conditions so much as I need to control my take on the conditions. Because I will, with my thought, with what I focus on, I will create in my life. So the first thing I need to get a hold of is what I'm thinking about. And so we talked about skepticism. A lot of people, oh yeah, sure. I'm going to sit here and just think about good thoughts and things are just going to happen. It's a little deeper than that, but yeah, exactly. So what we do is we hold not just thoughts. Thoughts are something that come and go. We need to take these thoughts and contemplate the principle behind the thoughts until they become deeply embedded beliefs, because our beliefs are what outpicture in our lives. So we question what we believe, right? If we don't question what we believe, then we're stuck just repeating all the old patterns of everybody else. So we need to ask ourselves, what does it mean? What does this belief mean? And we need to go ahead and learn how to pray. And we've talked about learning how to pray. And if you're new to our community, we'll keep talking about learning how to pray. But this community is a praying community. We pray from the sense of knowing that it is already done. We picture the desired outcome, and we don't limit God. For example, we don't say, God, I'm going to need $1,000 to make that rent. No, because what if God had 2,000? What if God had 1,000,000, right? No. You never say that. You go, I know that my rent is fully paid. It's already done, and I can't wait to see how God makes it so. You already start with that knowing. Jesus said, believe, acting as though it has already been done. Give thanks ahead of time because you know that it's already been done. It's that faith that it is already being done that is, that's the goal. So what I want to do is, since faith is built up from belief, accepting that it's already been done, and trusting the process, right? And we always give the analogy of you don't plant a seed and then, a rose bush, a seed that is a rose bush, and then dig it up just to see if it's going to grow or see if it's growing. Hurry up and grow. Dig it up. Look at it. Yeah, you just ruined the process. We trust that it's going to work. And there's no room for doubt when we're in our treatment. We don't doubt that it's going to happen. A treatment is a prayer. And we're in the middle of that. We don't doubt. We believe. We pray believing that it is so. And so faith is built up, as I said, from belief, acceptance, and trust. And if you ever have skepticism creep in while you're praying, you need to stop and then address that. Some people, let me fix my microphone. Some people go so far as to say that they'll, if they encounter any skepticism, they'll stop and then they'll say something about the skepticism and just address that, because you don't want to just pretend it's not there. Reverend Sunday mentioned how, if a minister goes into a hospital and to treat, pray for someone who is experiencing something, she says, if you see a sick person, go back out, call someone and get it right, come back in. Because if you see a sick person, your idea of them is not high enough for them to rise. See, the truth about that person is not that they're sick. And so, but if you see them as sick, that kind of keeps them there. And so that kind of helps us to see how it is that we should pray. We pray knowing that our end result has already happened, and then we give thanks for it. And so when we have demonstrations is like answered prayer. That helps build our faith that it's working. All right? So what I'd like to do is take some time and allow some of the people on the Google Meet to share answered prayer. But I'll go ahead and start. Let's see if I could share my screen and give you a picture. Recently, one of the community members asked for prayer. So let me see if I could share. Hold on. Why doesn't it do it? Okay, here we go. Present screen 2. All right, can you guys see that? I see Kristen too. Hold on. All right. So this screen, if you're looking at that, there's a lady who lived. Okay, one of our community members who knows that prayer works shared with us a request for prayer. And she said that her friend lives in an area where the fires that we've all experienced in the last week, you guys all know about them from the news, the fires were coming and they were encroaching and they were really like heading close. And so our community, our prayer community, jumped on it. We were praying, holding in prayer, images of the fire just stopping, not reaching her friend's home. She shared the picture on the left that shows the skies as her friend had to leave that beautiful home. That's what it looked like. And I'm sure they left and they were kind of a little bit worried. And then somehow, you see the house in the little box on the other picture. Look at that little white square with the outline of the blue. That's how the whole fire kind of creeped up, approached our prayer location and said, nah, we're good, and stopped. Now, prayer, hello, that's what I call a demonstration. We were celebrating. I don't know how many of us were on it, but when you have a bunch of voices amplified together, lifting up the truth about what you know to be true and just knowing that to be true and limiting, saying, nope, no other, I don't see anything else except divine wholeness, that property. And we had a picture of what the land looked like too. I didn't download that to show it to you. But we held that in our minds and we held that would be safe. And lo and behold, the Facebook text or the Facebook post that you see here where she's celebrating, oh my gosh, you guys, we're past the danger. And the next property a couple acres away, decimated. So prayer definitely works. Now I want to stop sharing and I would like you guys to let me know, whoever would like to go first, just let me know your experience of answered prayer. Go for it, Kristen.
So this is very similar to the story that you just shared, is that I'm on a group that has over 400 members, and somebody posted an intention prayer, and we all decided that we would do it at a certain time. And it was for extinguishing the fires, bringing rain to the area that would not flood, but would just gently douse the fires, as well as intention for sending love back in time to the people who were affected by 9/11, as well as COVID related, whatever prayers that you can think of about COVID, praying for the people who've lost other people, praying that the disease itself, the virus, is calmed, is let out of our society in a gentle way, and all this kind of stuff, and for so many other things. But anyways, I know that this was prayed on, and then the next day when I posted this prayer, somebody affirmed on my Facebook post that she lived in Oregon, and although the fires were not in her area quite yet, she could see the sky, but she sensed that there was a shift. The weather was starting to get colder, and there was a forecast for rain in her area.
Nice. Prayer works. I know Tamara has one. Did you want to share it?
Absolutely. I feel like I could write a book on answered prayers, but the one that I want to share with you today involves Charlene Banks, who is a licensed practitioner. And about, I think it was like 5 years ago, my dog Silas, developed a large growth on his paw. And folks, it was big. It was something like that. And I took him to the vet, and the first vet said, we're going to have to remove this, and he's probably going to lose part of his paw, part of his toe. And they had a considerable bill, and I was quite upset about this. And I thought, I need a second opinion. So I drove immediately to a new vet, and I walked in and I said, this is what's happening. They looked at Silas, and I told them what the first vet had said, and they agreed with me that amount wasn't right, and they wanted to charge me like 3 times more. Yeah. So I was really very, very distraught, and I went home and I didn't know what to do. And I called Charlene. And this was the first time that I called a practitioner in our center. And Charlene did what she just talked to you about, folks. She did not see that growth on his paw. She said in her prayer how she saw him whole and complete and well, and that this growth just is gone. And I was fairly new to our community, and I listened, and it sounds wonderful, and let's see what's going to happen with this. And I don't know, I think there's the power of prayer, but something told me to put some coconut oil on this little dog's paw. And I would just do this, not even faithfully, maybe once every 3 days, whenever I kind of saw the coconut oil sitting there in our kitchen. And this, he's down here, I can show you, but this growth went away just on its own. But I really can't say on its own. It was with the power of prayer. And I can't stress enough that seeing is believing. You have to focus on what do you want. Like Charlene said, you don't say something specific, I need $1,000 to pay rent. You just turn it over and know that it's going to be good, and you hold the positive intention. And I am still in awe. I was looking at Silas's paw. This was 5 years ago, and there's barely a tiny little red mark. I can tell what paw it was just by looking at that. But that growth is gone. It's never come back, and I'm so grateful.
Yes. That is amazing.
A prayer warrior.
Yes. I love our group because we know that prayer works even when one of us forgets. We got you. We'll remember for you. We'll hold it for you. And I know that, oh man, we could go on and on, couldn't we? And talk about all of the demonstrations. I do know this though, that yeah, look, Tamara's place, her whole house is a demonstration. And it's funny, when I started classes to be a practitioner, I was demonstrating left and right because, that something happens when you're new to something. It's beginner's, I don't know if it's beginner's luck or just something about the new mind. It just trusts because there's nothing to fight against it. Man, there's stuff that I did. People were like, how is that possible? And I'm just like, well, prayer. So it's funny too. I'll end on a story. I have a couple of quotes, but I'll end on this story. The story of a little boy who's on the roof of his house. He shouldn't have been there. We all know that. Somebody told him, don't go up on that roof. He went up, because boys. And he started sliding toward the edge. And he yelled, God, please save me. At the last second, a nail head caught on his pants and stopped him. And the little boy then told God, never mind. I'm good. I'm okay now. But that's kind of how it works, right? We turn our situations over and say, God, or universe, spirit, you turn that over. And then like Tamara, who had the idea, I don't know why, coconut, listen, those are the things. You can't not do what you're told, or you can't not, encounter. And sometimes it is just luck, like the nail. But is it luck or is it something else? You don't want to ignore the things that come to you. After you do a wonderful prayer, do everything that comes to mind, because that is God helping you. You can't say, hey, God, so there's a hurricane and there's some floods, and so I'm going to need you to rescue me from my house. And so you climb to your roof and you say, okay, God, rescue me from my house. And the guy on the boat comes by and you say, no, I'm waiting for God. And then the guy with the helicopter comes by and you say, no, I'm waiting for God. And then you get to heaven and you say, God, why didn't you save me? And God says, well, I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. What the heck? So you want to definitely go in there and just do that prayer, knowing that it's already done. And then you open your eyes, and I feel like maybe you'll see some steps that you hadn't seen before. Maybe there'll be some glowing, breadcrumbs on the trail that is your future that you didn't notice before. But because you got in alignment, because you've already trusted, then those things become visible. And yeah, maybe they were there the whole time. Maybe it just took us to change the way we see our lives in order to get in alignment so that it would work out. So we know that prayer works. So I'm going to head on back to my final slide, where we're going to wrap this up with a little bit of a prayer. Hopefully those of you who do have prayer requests have entered them into the chat. I'll make sure to read that as I do our closing prayer. But let's look. Ernest Holmes has a quote. And sorry, Tamara, I've pinned you. So there you go. When prayer removes distrust and doubt and enters the field of mental certainty, then it becomes faith. So you're using our prayer as a tool, right? We're removing distrust. We're removing doubt. Then that prayer is free. It's in a field of mental certainty. And that is what we call faith. It's not just faith is this blind thing. You just believe it because they told you to. No, it is an actual, prayer is an actual tool to get us to faith. A couple final quotes. If you want to be successful, it's just this simple. Know what you are doing. It's simple. Love what you are doing. And believe in what you're doing. Will Rogers, faith leads to success. And finally, Martin Luther King, he had a dream which we can call faith, that his 4 little children would one day live in a world where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And I guess we're still working on that one. So just, stay tuned. And let us just say this affirmation together, and I'll take us into prayer. I live in the faith that there is a presence and power greater than I am that nurtures and supports me in ways I could not even imagine. All right, so let's go within. And as we move into this space of loving kindness, awareness of our oneness with the one, with the universe, with the divine, that there can be no separation. There can be individuation. We are individualized expressions of the one, but we're not separate from the one. We live, we move, we have our beingness inside the one that is known as spirit. And in principle, spirit moves through us. Joy, peace, wholeness, continued abundance, wealth, health, kindness, all of the principles of the divine are in us because we cannot be separate from it. So we move to that space of centered awareness of the one. I speak my word in this awareness of our oneness. This word of truth about Robert, right here, right now. Robert's back. It is whole. It is perfectly healed. It is completely aligned with the wholeness and the truth about his being. Robert is not sick. His back is not sick. The truth about it is that it is whole and it is healthy. And every cell and organ of his being is working together to magnify the oneness and the wholeness of himself. And that throughout this day, Robert experiences comfort. His back relaxes. And he is feeling wonderful. I speak my word for any doctors that might be involved in the treatment of Robert's back, that even they are part of this wholeness, part of this treatment, part of this solution, if it comes to that, knowing that that support is there should it be needed. Because we do not turn away from the usage of the things of God's world, also known as medications. That's okay. That is God too. And we just welcome all of it, knowing that it all is here to support our oneness and our wholeness and our health. I also speak my word for K-Fran, Star Child. Her Achilles on the left foot is no longer inflamed, that inflammation is just an absence. It's not rooted in principle, because the principle behind it is wholeness, health, healing. Everything works together for her good in her Achilles tendon. And so I know that demonstration, that outpicturing, aligns itself right back up to the truth of what it is. It is whole. It is healthy. It is perfect. I pray for all of the people in California and Oregon who are facing and battling the fires, that these fires are now dissipating. That what once raged with heat and force and vitality is now waning. Even now. That the energy is less and less and less. In my mind's eye, I see that it no longer is voraciously moving, but it is calm. It is settling. And then anything to support this action, be it helicopters, be it water, be it rain, be it clouds, whatever it takes, whatever that looks like, it's all part of that dissipation of this effect. Because we know that the principle, the whole, the universe itself supports the lives. And to that I speak safety into this space, safety for all those involved. I also speak my word for any prayer requests that have come in through our different locations, be it on our website or in emails or texts, that we are holding each and every person who has requested prayer in this space, knowing for you, your wholeness and complete outpicturing of the divine's idea as your life, that this or something better is in store for you. It is with gratitude and gratefulness, so much gratitude in my heart as it swells, as it recognizes that these things that we spoke of are already being done. They're already out picturing. And I can't wait for the wonderful news about how these positive effects have come about. I give thanks for this awareness. I feel good that the positive word of God has been spoken. I release it into the law, and I simply say, thank you, life. And so it is.